Talk to a man that really does great research. He's a historian around this district, particularly Ipswich, and he's got a story about a Kalbar gentleman and from World War One, and he's going to tell it. G'day there. How are you, Harold the H?
I'm fantastic, and I'm facing the sun on this sunflower weekend. Fantastic weekend.
Well, I'm looking at the sun too, and guess what? I can't see a flaming thing because it's in my eyes. But all the sunflowers are facing the sun. There's 4 acres, and someone said there's 1 million. So the bloke's just finished counting. He's absolutely worn out. He started yesterday morning.
Yeah, and he came up one short, so he's having to start again.
He's starting to plan another one, mate. Let's talk about, what was this bloke's name? Krueger, wasn't it?
Yeah, Alexander Krueger. And, of course, I wanted to tell you about Alex because, well, Anzac Day coming up in 5 days, and we're broadcasting from Kalbar. So I wanted to tell you this story.
Yeah.
And, of course, Kalbar here in the scenic room, it's not the first name that this place has had.
Oh.
Initially, it was called Fassifern Scrub.
Wow.
But then it was upgraded a little bit and called Inglesburg because from the second half of the 19th century, it was settled almost exclusively by Germans.
Well, I'd be a Canadian side valve.
Yeah, something like that. But come the First World War, anti-German sentiment in Australia was rife. So in 1916, Inglesburg was given its third name when it was changed to Kalbar, which, of course, what it is today. Why? Because of the anti-German sentiment. They didn't want German names. In fact, Kalbar wasn't the only place in Australia to have its name changed. In fact, 91 German place and district names in Australia were changed. South Australia made the most with 69 changes, while here in Queensland there were 14.
We're doing it now.
Yeah, well, this is during wartime. So, you know, we're at peace now, but back in the First World War, many of the changes here in Queensland were made within a comfortable horse ride of where you are broadcasting from right now.
Wow.
Now, even King George V changed his name from the German Saxe-Coburg-Gotha to Windsor. Now, some of the town changes were made in a patriotic theme, like Hakesley, just outside of Ipswich. It was originally called Kirchheim. Now, it was renamed Hakesley after General Douglas Haig, who was the commander of the British Army in France. Now, some changes also didn't make sense, like Mount Mort, which is just northwest of here. It was originally called Girkeyvale, but in 1916 it was renamed Mount Mort, even though there's no mountain there at all. And one place...
That's typical Australian, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there was even one place, you know, didn't want to stick with the change because they actually reverted to its original name. Minden was originally called Back Plains or Rosewood Scrub. Right. In 1916, Minden was changed to Frenchton, but it was changed back to Minden in 1930, ironically, just in time for the next war with Germany. But in my mind, history is best told by stories about individual people.
Yes.
Yeah, now when the First World War was declared in 1914, the children of the settlers in the district here, they were faced with the dilemma. Either fight for the pioneering country in which they were born or side with the old European power from where their parents came, and they still talked about over the kitchen table. Now, 87 men from the Kalbar district enlisted to fight for Australia. Now, they made a clear choice of loyalty to Australia, even though they knew it meant potentially killing their German cousins. Now, I'll tell you about one of those Australians. His name was Alexander Krueger, who was a timber cutter from right here in the Fassifern Valley. Now, Alex was born in Fassifern on the 24th of October, 1886. He was the oldest of 7 children born to Prussian immigrants, Ferdinand Friedrich Wilhelm Krueger and Mary Emily Corner. Now, the family farm was at Charlwood, 6 miles south of Kalbar. As soon as Alex was old enough, he moved into town where his father was a cornet player in the Baptist church band and his uncle was the pastor. Now, in 1916, the war was raging and the casualty lists were growing. Inglesburg changed its name to Kalbar and Alex signed up for the Australian Army. He joined the 25th Battalion, which was known as the Darling Downs Regiment. Now, his first major engagement was the Battle of Menin Road in Belgium. It was an Australian victory and Alex survived without a scratch. Then came the Battle of Bruisend Ridge on the 4th of October 1917. That's when the impossible happened. Both the Australians and the Germans coincidentally emerged from their opposing trenches to attack at the same time. Now, the result was bitter hand-to-hand fighting out there in no man's land, but it resulted in another Australian victory. But 1,279 Australians died that day. It was the deadliest day in Australia's military history. Now, during the mayhem, Alex fell. He'd been shot through the lungs. He lingered for 2 days before dying 17 days short of his 31st birthday.
Wow.
Now, today, his name is on the honour board at the Kalbar School of Arts. But that's not the end of his story.
No.
Yeah, you see, almost a century later, our listener, Darren Dickfoss, he's listening now, he found out about his ancestor and became the first relative to ever visit Alex's grave in Belgium. Now, Darren placed a small wooden cross on the gravesite with a hand inscription saying, "No, you were missed." So, Danny, that applies to all the Anzacs who were lost from Kalbar and everywhere. So this coming Thursday, Anzac Day, remember them all this Anzac Day.
And isn't it amazing you're telling this story about how the Germans were, in Australia, they were suspicious of Germans. Today is Hitler's birthday, the 20th of April.
Yeah, look, the stars are aligned, but the main thing is the sunflowers are facing the sun and the world is good.
You're the profound of profounders. You're a profounder. They were a good band too. Well, how do we find
I'd walk 500 miles to go to online to historyoutfit.com.
Oh, you are a flaming wordsmith, mate. You're a words peacock.
Well, just go online to the socials and you can read all my words. Go, historyouthere.com, search for that and you'll find the stories. There's a couple hundred stories around Ipswich and the surrounding areas, but certainly this one about Alexander Krueger from Kalbar.
Mate, great story. Harold the H. Peacock right here with historyouthere.com. The time's 8:20. You are tuned to West Bremer Radio. We are at the Kalbar Sunflower Festival. It is a beautiful day.